Hello and welcome to Transcendental Transformation, the place where spirituality and transformation unite. Host Miss Raina imparts truth so that you can break through your limiting beliefs and evolve into a deeper consciousness. As you go about your day, remember, before every breakthrough, there is a breakdown. And now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Transcendental Transformation. I'm your host, Miss Raina, and today is Tuesday, September 19th, 2017. I am coming live from the beautiful city and the windy city of Chicago. As you all know, that it's been chaos in Florida as of late, and actually all different parts of the country. First, we had Hurricane Harvey not so long ago. Then we had just recently Hurricane Irma, and that left destruction. There's mass flooding, damage, all sorts of things. People, unfortunately, with hurricanes, especially powerful storms like Katrina and Harvey and Irma, people have lost their homes, people lost their cars, their pets, their loved ones, and it's just such devastation. Unfortunately, our Earth needs this in order for it to reproduce and grow, and for the balance of the Earth to stay where it's at. But as humans, it's hard to watch. Me, I was very lucky. I left for Chicago. I just had a feeling about this one not too long ago. And I sat there and I was like, on Tuesday, all of a sudden, they just announced that it was turning into Hurricane Irma, and I had this uneasy feeling in my stomach, and I said, let's head out. So last Tuesday, I took off for Chicago at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I headed up, and originally I was going to stay in Nashville, and then all of a sudden I decided not to. I said, you know what, I just don't, the hurricane might come here too, and so I ended up in Chicago, and luckily I did, because the remnants of the hurricane, ended up in Nashville. So now there's Hurricane Maria, and I was supposed to be back in Florida, and we don't know where it's going yet. It looks like it's going to trail Hurricane Jose, and I hope it does. So let's take a moment and send a little love and light to all those who have lost their homes or loved ones or cars or pets or anything like that, and who's had to suffer through the destruction of Hurricane Irma. Chad, so I have not seen you in 2 weeks, I think it's been, and how's your house? How's everything back going in Florida?
It's good. The only thing I would notice that's different about Florida is there's a lot of trees down. I mean, a lot of trees down. And, I would think there'd be like more tiles missing off roofs with some of the winds that we went through. But the trees got the bad end of the stick.
Did they really? Yeah, but that's a funny joke.
You notice that little
second to catch that.
Right on. Yeah, so the trees took a beating. I didn't notice any cars damaged or really any roofs damaged. There's some people that just got some electricity, I hear, maybe yesterday or today. So there's still some people out there that are sweating. Still.
I was lucky. I had my neighbors. I gave my neighbors a key, and they watch my house when I'm gone, and they said, we did not lose power for more than a half hour, and it was after Hurricane Irma was up towards Georgia and into Georgia and stuff. For some reason, at I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, it went out for like a half hour. So we were very lucky, and like you, there was no destruction. But is there still a gas shortage and water shortage?
No, that probably trickled off. How long has it been? When was that hurricane? It was
last Wednesday or last Thursday.
It happened. It was on a Sunday. I remember ripping through on a Sunday. So was it the 10th? I guess yes. Okay, so it was the 10th. It was a week and 2 days ago. See, what was the question again?
If there's gas or water shortage still.
Yeah, I think the gas was pretty much taken care of, I don't know, about maybe midweek last week, Wednesday or Thursday. I did notice some lines Monday and Tuesday, but I haven't noticed since Wednesday or Thursday of last week.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad that you're safe, and I'm glad that you're doing well. You sound good, and hopefully I'll see you by next Tuesday.
Sounds good. We'll keep a light on for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, everyone, if you'd like to call us in, you can call us in at 561-623-9429. Please call us in tonight. This is a very sensitive subject. If you want to share your story, or if you've experienced it personally, or you want to share anything about bullying, please give us a call in. You can web chat us also on the W4CY.com website. Download the W4CY radio app, and wait for the archive for the YouTube at youtube.com/Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. Also, if you hit the Facebook on Transcendental Transformation Radio Show, the Facebook, we are also streaming live off the iPhone as well. So tonight's show is about bullying, and bullying is a very, very big problem in all over the world. It's not just here in the United States. It's all over the world. Anywhere you go, and this seems to be a constant problem. I myself, and I'm going to share with you guys some of my personal stories throughout the show. I have been bullied myself from the time I can remember. From the time I first started having friends all the way to my senior year of high school, and then it still popped up every once in a while, but it was a constant thing in my life, and it wreaked havoc on me. A part of it has shaped me into who I am today, and another part it created great chaos in my life. And bullying has been around for centuries. It has been around since the beginning of time, since humans were first on this earth, and we started growing our consciousness and started having civil, cities and states and everything like that. So civilization started to grow. This has been something that has, and even in the animal kingdom, we see other animals picking on each other, so this is something that seems to be ingrained into our DNA. And what the sad thing is we have a consciousness, we have an awareness, and we're going to get into the whole, Miss Raina's no, is it right or wrong or good or bad, but we have an idea. We are able to think and process things. And what's sad is bullying doesn't seem to be slowing down. It seems to be on the rise, and even from the time when I was in grade school and high school, and even seems to be happening more. And now that it's been happening more, there seems to be suicides and murders and all sorts of different chaos coming out. I mean, I read last week on Facebook and through some of my websites that that there was someone else, I think a 6-year-old girl that committed suicide. I mean, 6 years because she was bullied. I mean, something about this is we need to change this. There has been many psychological issues that are created by bullying, and unfortunately, not everyone thinks that bullying is a problem. I'm going to get, like I said, I'm going to get into it, but I have neighbors. I'm looking at their house right now, and this house has been a symbol of terrorism in my life for a long time. I mean, from the time of 1989 to 1996, it was just a sign of chaos and pain and misery and just bullying. And as I look at it now, I look at it and I say, you know what? I've forgiven the person who has bullied me, and I have moved on from it. But at times, every time I see that house, especially when I first come back to Chicago, the first thing that my mind does is replay all the painful memories. It replays everything, and almost like a flashback each and every time. And even though, like I said, my emotions, I've resolved a lot of my emotions from it and everything, it's amazing what our minds are capable, because these psychological issues can create problems of all sorts. And if you're someone who has been bullied, or maybe you're the bully yourself and you're listening to this, and maybe you have unresolved guilt or pain from this, and you figured out that this was not the way to do things, and you created a lot of pain for other people. But I don't know about you, but no matter who I talk to that has been bullied, especially if they've bullied with a severity like I have, they have problems in work. A lot of them have have problems being sociable in work. They have problems holding on to a job. They have problems making friends, holding on to friends. Their family, they become distant. It's almost like they push back everything. And their relationships. I have only dated a handful of times. I haven't dated someone, and I don't know how long. It's been so long that it started out because I was afraid of people. I was afraid of all these different things, and I was afraid that the pain and suffering that came along with what I knew to be relationships, because all my friends, all my relationships that I've always known have always been fighting and chaos and arguing and turning on each other. And when this type of idea is in your mind, and this psychological mind says, wait a minute, why do I need to be around family? Because any sort of drama, when you become an adult, any sort of drama, anybody fighting, it just makes you cringe to the point where you're just like, you know what, I don't want to be around it. And so you push away friends, you push away family, you push away relationships. So the National Bullying Prevention Center, and back in 2000, because you guys know I love statistics, I'm a nerd like that. But in 2016, it was reported that 1 out of every 5 students were bullied. That's 20.8%. And depending on where you go in the country, it varied. And listen to these statistics. Listen to how wide this is. It varied from 9% all the way up to 98% across the country. So depending on where you're at, where you live, bullying could be a small, minor problem, maybe just one or a couple kids here and there, or it can be a whole smorgasbord of kids that are just fighting and causing chaos and causing misery for other people. The most age that they have shown was the age between 12 and 18 years old. It shows that 35% of children are bullied traditionally. So that means they're bullied face to face. They're bullied like how I was growing up out of school, inside school, hanging out in your neighborhood. But now with the internet, and this is something that I have had, this is something that has grown, and I think that these statistics in 2017 are going to be even higher now. But only 15% as of 2016, and for some reason this seems low to me, is due to cyberbullying. But cyberbullying for some reason seems to push those kids over the edge, because every time I read articles, it's always about the cyberbullying. It was, they were having problems at school, they were having that, but it wasn't until they made fun of them on YouTube. It wasn't until they created videos or bashed them on Twitter or Facebook is when these kids finally were pushed over the edge, and some of them lash out, some of them go back and hurt other people, shoot people, some of them commit suicide themselves. In 2010, though, 64% did not report bullying. I'm trying to get an updated statistic on this, because honestly that's 7 years ago, and I'm sure things have changed. But from what I could find, 64% did not report bullying, and 36% did. So that's a huge number. And you know what? Even me, I did not report my bullying for the longest time, because one, I didn't think that it was going to change. Finally when I did, we were raised in Chicago, and we were raised to be tough, not to whine, and just kind of suck it up attitude. And even from the beginning, that's all I knew. When we lived in the city of Chicago, my best friends, or my so-called best friends, would fight on me, turn on me, sell me out for something, and I was just like, what is, and I thought this was a way of life. So a lot of times when you're introduced into bullying at such a young age, you really don't realize that that's not the way of life. And I think that we really need to change these numbers around, because imagine 64%. If they're saying 1 out of 5 are being bullied, but only 64% are reporting it, how many more kids are being bullied and not being hurt? How many more kids and adults? Because mind you, just because you were bullied as a kid, that doesn't mean you won't get bullied as an adult. And people who were bullies back then, and sometimes even the victims of bullies, turn into bullies later in life. Why? Because they have a ton of anger. So bullying is not just for children. This is for adults too. And you adults listening to this, and if your child has been a victim of bullying, or you're a victim of bullying, that does not mean just because you're an adult or your kid's going to be an adult one day that this is going to resolve itself, because it's not. But what's nice about this is 57% stop when there's a peer intervention. So when somebody intervenes, when you finally say something, the teachers get involved and the parents on both sides, and there's an actual good size intervention, 57% stop. I still want to see that number, because I remember going when peer intervention or first came out, or we used to call peer mediation, and when that first came out, it was a joke. There'd be one teacher that would let one person, and it would always turn into a fight. And I gotta say, as even the person who was the victim of bullying, I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel at the time that peer intervention or peer mediation was doing anything for me. It was just more chaos. In my mind, it was more chaos, more aggravation that I had to deal with, not just having to worry about the one bully that I had. I had many bullies. And mind you, if you have kids that are getting bullied, there may be one main bully, but let me tell you, there's probably more that are picking on your child or that picked on you at the same time, because bullies travel in packs. The reasons behind bullying, what do you think some of the reasons behind bullying are? Well, obviously, looks, which makes up 55% of the bullying issues. Body shape, if someone's obese, if someone's too skinny, and the way we teach our children, especially with the magazines and all this stuff today, being too thin and being, you have to have this body size, or they call you fat or obese or out of shape, or you got to do nose jobs and tummy tucks and boob jobs, and guys, you got to have to, and the society is creating this chaos, and these kids are doing this, and these kids are learning this from us, but when the race, race is also another thing, and when I was adopted, and I thought I was Mexican and Italian, because that's what my family was, and that's what they told me I was. But and so I would get picked on and be called spick and span and all the Mexican jumping bean and all this stuff. And the sad thing is most of the school would do that from 5th grade all the way to high school, and even through high school. The racial jokes and the racial comments kind of died down a little bit once I got into my sophomore. But from 5th grade to 8th grade, it was every single day of my life I would hear something about me being Mexican, to the point that I absolutely hated being Hispanic. I wish every day that I was white. I wish that because if this is what being Hispanic was about, this is crazy. And even I wasn't the only one picked on, obviously, because I noticed that even the bullies that were picking on people would always also pick on people with disabilities. Children or people with disabilities are 2 to 3 times more likely to be picked on than people with non-disabilities. And if you're LGBTQ, 74% get attacked verbally. You hear the words fag or dyke or all these different words that come out. And now with transgender people coming out, all these different terms. And it's a verbal attack. And 36% of the LGBT community are attacked physically. This is way too much, people, and this needs to change. 160,000 kids every single day do not attend school due to bullying. I mean, listen to that number. 162,000 people decided, and I was one of them, when I was having great anxiety, and I knew that they said, we're going to get you tomorrow. We're going to make sure your life is a living hell tomorrow. I made sure I didn't go to school because my anxiety grew so much that I had no clue. I didn't want to go to school. Why? So I can get beat up, so I can be harassed, and the teachers not do anything about it. Because back in the day, teachers didn't see disabilities. They didn't see problems. They didn't, I was dyslexic and ADHD, and they saw me as a problem child. So, it was just one more thing added. And so, if I had the opportunity to say I was sick, and even my mom would sit there and say, hold on 1 second. Even my mom, that was my phone. I don't know why my phone alarm but even my mom would say, I know you're not sick. Why are you calling out? And I would sit there and say, well, I don't know. I just didn't feel like being in school today. Well, but the truth was I knew that there was going to be a fight that day, or maybe 3 or 4 people were going to come after me that day, and I just didn't feel like dealing with it. I mean, come on, what child? If your child or you've experienced this, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Then you know the fear and anxiety and the pain and the worry that comes on, knowing that if people are waiting for you the next day to hurt you, and you have to go to school because it's mandatory. What kind of life is that when it happens? We'll be right back after these messages from the Life of Raina.
A message from the Life of Raina. We live in a world faced with many tough challenges. Our lives become chaotic and filled with disaster ever so quickly, most of the time before we even realize. Our issues beat down our mental mindset, and an imbalance of emotions become prevalent. The Life of Raina is dedicated to helping people on the deepest spiritual level. Miss Raina, the creator of Transcendental Development and Growth, works on your core issues and finds the solutions which allow you to break free from the emotional bondages of life, helping you achieve the life you've always wanted to live. Isn't it time that you lived life for you? Call the Life of Raina, 561-846-2190, and schedule your appointment today. That's 561-846-2190. Or email thelifeofraina@icloud.com.
Okay, we are back. You are listening to Miss Raina and Transcendental Transformation Radio Show, and we are talking about bullying. If you'd like to give us a call in, please call us in at 561-623-9429. I'd love to hear from you. We are a society and that is based on judgment. And I don't care if you agree with me on this, but we are based on judgment. We are taught judgment from such an early age, and we teach that to our children. And we are a society also based on our views, and our judgments are based on our views of morals and values. And morals and values are nothing more than judgments themselves. What's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, what's positive and what's negative. And to each person, this is an individual perception. As I've said in many other shows, I may perceive something as okay, and you may perceive something as it's not. And so morals and values create chaos, and judgment obviously creates chaos. And we teach this to our kids. Most of the time in an effort to not teach our kids anger or hate or judgment, we do so anyways, because we spend all of our time trying to teach these kids not to fear, not to do this, not to do this, that they actually observe us in fear, not trying to make them interfere. And it's a really great psychological thing to watch. And I watch this with families all the time. I see so many parents and try to say, well, I don't want to raise my child like my parents raised me because this affected me to this, and this. And it's all out of fear, and they're so aggressive about it that they don't even see it. And we look at it and say, well, I'm being a good parent because of this type of idea. And it's nice that we want to change. It really does. But when you have to remember that kids are impressionable. They're emotional. They're reactive. They're observant. They're free spirited. And when we're spending, they absorb everything like a sponge. And this is shown in psychology and all these. When you have a child, as early as even in the womb, they start to hear. They start to feel. They start to understand. And they're gathering all that data. They're gathering everything to understand the world around them. And if you don't think that your words or your actions or what you say on the phone to your friends or how you react to a football game or how you react to the TV or whatever it is, or when you're out swearing at someone that cuts you off, you may think that they're too young to understand that, but they're not. They may not comprehend the idea of what you're doing, but they see your actions. And by showing their actions, they start to say, well, this is normal. And in bullying, that's the reason why I told you I didn't report it either. Because I grew up like that. I mean, I remember that one of my first friends, within a few, like maybe a week or two of hanging around, all of a sudden they wanted to fight me. They tried stabbing me in the back with like one of those little pitchfork things for turning over steaks from the grill and everything like that. And that was the way of life. And then constantly I was fighting with my neighbors, and I would have 4 or 5 kids on the other block that would come after me and throw rocks at me, and then the gangs would come after me. And I always thought that this was the way of life. And so what else would I know different? And this is the same thing with your children. You have to remember that the way you act around people and the way you act around especially your children, this is what they're going to imprint on them. So if in an effort you don't want them teaching something, then don't act out of fear, don't act out of anger, don't act out of the assertiveness that, oh my God, I want to make sure, because you're going to teach them that. And that is very important. A lot of people consider themselves good parents, and and that's great. You want to do what's best for your child. You want to you want to make sure that they grow up healthy, they have healthy relationships, they have all this stuff, they have prosperity, they have a great job and everything. But like I said, we have to allow the children to be themselves as well. We try to push our values. We try to push our religious views on them. We try to put our spiritual views. We try to put what we think is right or wrong. And our child may not agree with that. Like I said, I grew up Catholic, and I went to Catholic school every single day, and it just wasn't for me. I didn't agree with it. That's okay if somebody else does, but it just wasn't for me. And so you have to be able to sit there and allow your child. You're going to sit there and say, well, Miss Raina, there are things that I want to teach my child. There are things that I want to make sure. But there are a lot of parents that think that they're doing best for their children, that are that hit them with the belts or maybe a little aggressive, show them tough love, and they turn them into bullies because the kid doesn't know how to express their anger. I know that my neighbor next door, after we moved out of the city, I know their father. He was very aggressive with them. He used to beat them and all sorts of stuff, especially when they got in trouble. Because even one time, my neighbor came over and with bloody nose, bloody mouth, and it looked like he got beat up in a fight, and that was by his dad. And he was the bully. He bullied everybody. He was one of the top bullies in the school. Why? Because he didn't know how to express his anger. Because his parents thought that they were doing what's best. And believe it or not, you may think, that doesn't sound like a good parent. But you'd be surprised how many parents think that they're doing what's best for their children, and they're creating this type of environment. I want to say really, and I want you guys to understand this, that bullies are not born, they're made. Just like the victims that they attract, bullies are made. And so whether it's at home, whether it's your social environment, or whatever it is, because your social surroundings are the recipe for the creations of your child's experience. If I would have grown up in the city, and I had friends that were loving and compassionate, and we're really good friends, I may have had different relationships. But actually, because all I knew was violence and how to turn on people and how to fear people, all my relationships were always abusive, verbally, mentally, physically, or whatever. And this is the psychological dismay that happens in the world. Now, bullies must have to have a victim. They have to. It is a relationship that has to be mutual. And so as much as we don't like to hear it, as much as we think, well, no, it's just one side or the other, bullies have to have the victim, and the victim has to appear weak. They have to appear frail, or maybe they're fearful in life. Maybe they're easy to push over, because as kids, the nice ones, and I was very nice. I was all full of life. I wanted to go and help everybody. Believe it or not, yes, Miss Raina used to be hugging and kissing and touchy-feely, with their friends and everything, and I was always a sheriff. But when I found out that people took advantage of that changed. Because in the bully's eyes, someone who was trying to be nice, got something stolen from them, or they got taken out on, or they got picked on for being nice. And so niceness to a bully looks to be weakness. If you're easygoing, if you're so trusting, because in your mind you won't do that. I remember one time I gave my bike to one of my friends because their bike wasn't there and they had to bike down several miles. And I said, well, just take my bike, and they were tricking me. Their bike was fine, but I was young, I was naive, and I was just being helpful. And I said, well, take my bike because you got to ride a mile or two down, a couple miles down, and if your bike breaks, that's a long walk. I didn't get the bike back for a week, and when I got it back, it was beat up with a sledgehammer. It was driven into a lake. They ran it over several times. It came back looking like it was in a tornado. And all for what? Because I wanted to be helpful. And so the bullies just don't pick anyone. It's calculated. You have to remember this. This is a calculated move. Because bullies are full of anger. They're full of anger, they're full of jealousy, they're full of they have to prove a superiority to their victims. And like I said, a lot of times you find bullies come from unhappy homes. There are bullies that come from happy homes. The parents are really nice, but for some reason there's no translation, because in studies shown that bullies lack a pro-social behavior. So in other words, they show antisocial skills. So they don't understand the idea of giving or helping others or sharing. To what comes naturally between you and I? I was always a giver. When my friends didn't have money, because a lot of my friends grew up without money, and my parents had a family business, and I was very fortunate in that area. I was, when they didn't have lunch money, I would say, okay, here, come on, just come with me, I'll buy you lunch. Later on, I found out that they actually had money, but because I started offering, they took advantage of it, and they never returned the favor. They never did it. But because I had the idea, my brain in my DNA already had, and just like people who have experienced being the victim of bullying, you have the social skills of giving. You understand what it's like to help people. It's a feeling inside of you that wants it. You want to share, because sharing makes you feel good. It makes you who you are, and you just want to give a piece of yourself because that's who you are. That's why so many of us start out bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. You want to take over the world, when you're young, and by the time you're old, they always say you have the heart this big, and I'm showing like little pinch fingers, and you have a tiny heart because of all the experiences that happen. So many of us have experienced bullying on some type of level, and to be honest with you, I don't really know anybody that hasn't. That's why when I do these research, and I look at these statistics, I say, nah, this can't be right. And maybe some of you don't even know that you were bullied. Maybe in your mind you don't consider it bullying, but it is. Bullies do not understand the emotional understanding of, or the understanding of emotions. They don't understand emotions. It's almost like they're untroubled, like anxiety, fear. It doesn't bother them. They're going to do what they're going to do because they have like this idea, this prize at the end, and whether it's causing someone pain, whether it's stealing, whether it's it gives them that rush, it gives them that feeling of superiority. It takes away whatever they're afraid of, because all bullies are afraid. There's no one on this earth that doesn't have fear, that doesn't have, especially when he doesn't have some sort of jealousy or intimidation. There's no child, and even as adults, we carry that into our adults. But bullies don't understand emotion. This is why when you talk to a bully and you try, like teachers would try to, when I did peer mediation, teachers would try to explain to them, do you understand what you did? And they wouldn't care. Why? Because they don't have the pro-social skills. It's not in their DNA to understand, the pain and suffering that they've caused their victims. It's like murders. How many times do do we watch ID channel, or we watch, we or whatever channels they are, and we see all these programs and where people just kill and serial killers, and they just have this vacant expression in their face, and you're just like, how does this person not understand what they've done, or how do they not feel for the person that they've just brutally murdered? It's the same idea. So the bullies, for whatever reason, maybe they developed this at the home, maybe they've shut down personally because, hey, there's a lot of bullies that they found in statistics and studies that have been physically abused by their parents or raped or uncles or whatever, and because of that they shut down emotionally, and their social skills of giving or helping or sharing, and their emotions shut down, and they no longer can comprehend because they don't want to feel. And how do we react when we're angry? When we're hurting, how do you treat somebody? When you're having one of those days and you say, screw the world, I don't care anymore, how do you treat people? Do you, in those moments, do you care how if you hurt somebody? No. And we've all had those days where we just really don't, where we just we just don't care. Even me, when I was younger and I was dealing with a lot of this pain, even in 2011, when all that stuff came crashing down, I turned off my emotions and I said, you know what? If this is the way the world's going to be after everything I've done for it, then I don't care either. And I stomped on people just as well because I figured, hey, this is life, and I'd rather do it than them doing it to me. Because for how many years, almost 30-something years of pain and suffering and aggravation of people being mean to me. Well, maybe it's my turn. And this is a form of abuse, people. You may call it bullying, but this is abuse. It is no different than if your parents, or if you're fighting with your parents, or you're fighting, or you're getting hit by your dad or your mom, or your siblings, or your boyfriends or girlfriends. This is or a stranger. It doesn't matter. This is abuse. Bullying is abuse, whether it's on a mental, emotional, physical level, and it all has the same psychological effects. This will scar you if it's not taken care of properly. I still, to this day, it has taken me many years to get over a lot of it. But for many years in my life, like I said, I haven't dated. Because why? Especially men. Why? Because I only knew men to be hurtful and painful. I only knew men to be egotistical and selfish. Now I know not all men are like that, and maybe there is a good portion. I don't know. I'm not going to judge them. But that's all I knew in my life. And so why should I go and date somebody when that's all I knew? And that's the same with you, or the same with your child, if this is all they know. And so they will learn to develop social problems, such as, even to this day, everyone says, Miss Raina, you act so young. Well, yes, because acting younger than one's age is a social issue associated with bullying. Why? Because we lose our childhood. Your child is losing their childhood because their memories are painful instead of joyful. And so to this day, everyone knows I deal with chronic anxiety, claustrophobia, and still to this day, when I think of my childhood, I'll be laying in bed, and all of a sudden I'll be having some nice memory of my past, and then it goes to school, and it goes to the bully, and it goes to everything. And let me tell you something, the walls close down on me, suffocate me. I can't breathe anymore. And the next thing I know, I'm throwing off the covers, I'm kicking mirror, and I'm just trying to get out of the house, and I bust open the door, and I run outside, and I don't care if I'm stark naked or whatever, I don't care, I'm getting out of that house, because the anxiety, the social, the psychological scars, and the emotional scars of having to go through that again is so crushing to who I was, that it creates anxiety and claustrophobia in me still to this day. That doesn't mean that I haven't forgiven the people or gone past certain things, but just to think, oh my God, if I have to go through that all over again, or if I have to go into a relationship and that type of thing happens all over again. It's suffocating. And your child, and you probably deal with this kind of stuff. I remember, even with my mom, my mom would come to the schools because I couldn't breathe. I would be in the nurse's office having panic attacks because I was so afraid of the next hour meeting up with my bully and knowing that 3 or 4 of them were going to try to fight me before class or hurt me or whatever, that I would go into strict panic attacks. And another social thing that happens, especially when you get older, or even as a child, you become overly dependent on adults. That means sometimes as a child, you will cling to your parents. You will depend on your parents. You will cling to them. You will worship them almost as like every waking move. Why? Because that's safety. That is your safety. And you become socially immature. You don't know how to deal with the social aspects of talking to people and communication, because all you know is this is going to happen. A plus B equals C. And so these social development, these social issues start to develop at such an early age. When you become older in high school and college and stuff, you become distant and closed off. You become isolated. You become the loner. How many of you have been bullied that have become the loner because you're so disappointed at the world? You're just shut down. The world is pain and suffering, and nobody cares. And you literally shut down, and you're happier alone. Even though you're sad and you're lonely, you're happier by yourself because no one's going to hurt you. And that's for so many people that have been the victim of bullying. And of course, dating, whether it's over dating, sometimes if they're really needy because that they're looking for love so hard, they'll date one after another. And like if you're like me, you'll push everyone away. You won't date for 20 years because it's pain and suffering. So it goes both ways. And living in fear, people, is not healthy. You want to make sure that as in life, we all want to feel safe. Every single one of us. Nobody wants to live in an unsafe world. I don't know who anybody that says, yes, I want to live every day where I feel like something could happen to me. And let me tell you something, if you've been bullied, this is how you feel every day. If you have unresolved bullying issues, you feel threatened by the outside world every day. For years, I couldn't sleep at night. Still sometimes. I don't know where it comes from. Just sometimes I can't sleep at night because I'm worried that someone's going to break in and hurt me. And why? Because there's no one that's going to hurt me. I have protection. I have an alarm system. I live in a safe neighborhood and stuff. But still, sometimes the psychological aspects of it just goes and says, oh, something's going to happen. And your brain loves to play these games with you. The brain loves, the emotion loves to grab a hold of you. You remember the victim inside your head loves to do that. And sometimes we become very aggressive. The development of having anxiety, fear, worry, depression. I mean, who wants to live in that? And even the studies of 7,000 people. I was reading a study one time, and they were saying of 7,000 people, half, so that's 3,500 people, develop chronic fear, worry, or sadness or anxiety every single day of their life. So every single day of their life, whether it's subconsciously or right in their face, they live in fear, they have constant worry, they have constant sadness, and they always have anxiety. And most of the time, and I want you to listen to this, most of the time, the depression turns into, or the anxiety turns into depression. And that develops with age. The older you get, the more depressed you get. And it makes sense, right? Because you're constantly worried, you're constantly exhausting your kidney chi. You're constantly in a state of stress. Your adrenals are constantly producing adrenaline and cortisol and everything. And so once your body gets tired, once you get fatigued, you become depressed. And I've had chronic depression probably since as far back as I can remember. I remember back when I went to Catholic high school. I remember after having my friends turn on me being really brokenhearted, and realizing my friends weren't my friends. They were just wanting to use me for the money and everything. I remember my depression started as early as then. And still to this day, I have chronic depression, but I use it for a different reason. reason now. I don't become the victim of saying, oh, poor me, this is going to happen to me. I use it and I try to understand. I try to understand what is it that's going on. Like, what do I need to do in order for me to get out of this, in order for me to understand why I'm being depressed, or what's not working in my life that's causing this depression. I want you to remember, and if you have kids that are being into bullying, I want you to remember that it's not their fault. It is not their fault at all. And if you've been bullied, you have to know that bullying was not your fault. It was it's the fault of the bullier. They took out their aggression. They took out their pain, their suffering, their insecurities on you. And this is the number one reason why kids shut down. When we tell the kids to fight back, or to back in my day, there was kick his butt, don't worry about it, just fight back, and blah blah blah. I mean, when we're told these things, if you're one of those parents that think that this is going to teach your son or daughter to toughen up or to survive life, I got news for you. All you're doing is more damage to your child. You are not helping your child, because let me tell you something. I was told that by my father all the time. Oh, you got to fight back. Stand up for yourself. Do this. And that wasn't who I was. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to hurt somebody else. And yes, I wanted the pain. And sometimes we do have to stand up for ourselves. Yes, I agree with that. But pushing our kids into uncomfortable situations is not what we need to do. And telling your child to fight another child is just not developing healthy social skills. It's not developing, because you're going to teach your child that anytime you don't like something, anytime something happens where it's aggressive or you become angered, the only way to do it is to fight. And so you have to listen to your kids. And parents, please listen to your kids. If your kids sit down, let them talk. Let them share their emotions. Let them talk about what they're experiencing, what their fears are, without judgment. Listen to them fully. Don't cut them off. Have them explain what is going on day to day, what the teachers are saying. If the teachers are ignoring them, blowing them off, if the counselors are ignoring them, blowing them up, and how many children there are. Because the number one reason, or one of the number one reasons why kids don't report this, is because they feel like they're not being heard, or that it's not a big deal to the teachers or the counselors. Because a lot of times, like I said, it's pushed aside as, it's just kids being kids, or it'll make them learn to be tough and stand up for themselves. But it's not. This is developing psychological issues for years to come. And for a lot of people, this will lead them to suicide. This may lead them to hurt somebody else in an unthinkable way. It may lead them down a path of loneliness and broken relationships, broken marriage, and even with their kids, it may lead them to be distant. And this will develop chaos. Do not ignore bullying people. Victim. If you're a victim, and I hate to use that word, I've used it a few times today, but I don't like the word victim, because that makes you feel like there's nothing you can do. You must learn to develop, or not to develop fear. You must learn to not develop fear of people and boys and girls on whatever side happen. Like me, I try to make friends still to this day, and I'm viewed as socially awkward. Why? Especially when I get around guys, because the moment I get around guys, I freeze up, and I'm just like, oh, they're gonna. And especially if I see a little bit of judgment in them and aggressiveness, I freeze up, and people are like, what? And then people don't know how to act with me, and I push people back. And guess what? The person who has no friends is the person who pushes back, or the person who stops. Get help. Parents, do not be ashamed of getting help for your bullying, even if it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. See a professional, see a counselor, talk to somebody. Allow your child not to just see a school, teacher or counselor, but have them go outside and feel safe and get professional help for them too. Talking, I deal with people and their issues and their challenges, all day long. And even me as a person, even me as someone who does this, I still have have a counselor who I talk to just because I know how healthy it is just to talk to somebody, even if you don't have anything going on, just to talk to somebody, that somebody listens, somebody cares, makes all the difference in the world. So make sure that you understand this. Make sure that you learn to develop this for your kids. And we're kind of running out of time, so I'm just going to say that I'm going to start off the show, even though we go from subject to subject. There are many more things that we're going to do to develop, to learn to develop, to get past your challenges of bullying. But make sure that that you don't continue to bully yourself. Make sure, or your whole life, because a lot of you will do that. Realize how wonderful of a person you are, regardless of any experiences you've had, and otherwise your life will always be about bullying and the painful aftermath. All right, everybody, that's tonight's show. We're almost out of time here. If you'd like to follow us on our Facebook at facebook.com/Transcendental Transformation Radio Show. That's all one word. Visit my website at soulandspiritguide.com. Email us at transcendentaltransformations@gmail.com. Visit the W4CY website, and always remember to believe in yourself. And it's not our abilities or our talents that make us who we are, but it is our choices. Thank you, and have a wonderful week.